Oh, hey, Righteous Foes and Frenemies. It's Dan from Righteous Fury Media, and we're back with our second installment of film and television reviews. We got a special event. You guys asked for it, and we provide. We've got Righteous Joe and Furious Brad on it this week, and we're doing Justice League. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Furiettes and Fury Men. If you guys have stayed tuned, we just got done with the spoiler-free edition, and now we're back with the spoiler edition. So, listen, let's just go ahead and open it up. Let's get into it. Tell me likes, dislikes of everything. What stuck out to you? I got something in my eye. What stuck out to you? And don't be afraid. Like I said, this is the spoiler edition. So,
I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Character-wise, I'm a Batman guy. Batman. Ben Affleck, I think, was awesome. I'm not huge on Cyborg. I don't know a lot about Cyborg. I thought they made him look really cool in this.
He did look really cool.
Because I was wondering, the cartoon's easy to do it. I know CGI is amazing now, but I was wondering how they were going to do it because it's literally just a little piece of skin right here. Yeah. But
it's like facial recognition.
And I thought Ray Fisher did a great job playing him.
Batman's, I cannot think, Alfred. Yeah, he's like, facial recognition scans on this one are all over the place.
Yeah, because
the dude's only got a third of a face.
Yeah. I thought they made him look really cool. Wonder Woman, Superman, I'm not big fans of either one of them. Wasn't as a kid. The Man of Steel movie, I thought was really good. The previous Superman's awful. Man of Steel, I thought they did a really good job with Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill,
Calvary, I don't know.
He's Henry Cavill.
I've liked him in Immortals. Remember that?
That's going to come up again too. You keep nailing on some of my stuff here.
Sorry. In Man of Steel, I don't know. They do a good job. He does a good job as kind of the. Superman's always had this kind of pretentious attitude to me. Like,
yeah, he's a jerk.
But he doesn't. I don't think I think they portrayed it well. He portrayed it well in Man vs. Steel, Batman v Superman, and this one. I don't think he means it like that. It's just kind of how. I mean, it would be hard to be Superman and not be a jerk. I mean, right. But I thought Superman was good in this. Wonder Woman was great. I liked Aquaman. A lot of people didn't like Steppenwolf. I thought Steppenwolf was cool. I thought they made him look cool.
What did you think of Steppenwolf's kind of henchman?
I hate that kind of insect.
Did it feel like filler? Did it feel like filler?
Well, they used to be human.
And they were in the comics and they were in the animated series stuff.
Feed on fear. They're going and there's other things.
But they had a good point. They had a good reason for it at the end of the movie with the whole feeding on the fear thing.
That's true.
That was a good thing.
I did not see that
good
turn.
Twist.
That one surprised me.
It was a good twist. I actually really enjoyed that part of the ending.
But it even mentions in the movie that when they had the first battle with the Atlanteans and the Amazonians and men, tribes of men. And they fought off Steppenwolf. It mentions, whatever happened there with the mother boxes.
Yeah.
What do they call that when it was all unified?
The Unity. Which is an interesting.
It's the three.
I was about to say, did you pick up on that?
It's a Trinity.
That's exactly what it was.
Christian
they called
symbolism.
It the Unity.
Yeah.
But there was something interesting about that and kind of the way that the Justice League came together.
But it even showed one of them when he turned into the beast. Like they were men, and then when that happened, it turned them into.
Yeah, well, it was Steppenwolf's axe that turned them, right?
Was that what it was?
I think that was my understanding.
I thought it was when the boxes had came together and they tore them apart. I thought that was what did it, but it may be his axe.
I think it was his axe because he said he slaughtered millions. He had millions of kills under his belt.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the act of actually killing him.
His axe is what.
Okay.
They revived as those insectoid type things.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actual name for him from the comics.
Hold on just a sec. Something human.
Good one.
No. Hold on. I'm gonna have to look this up real quick.
While you're looking that up, let's talk about some other stuff. I really did think that was a neat turn of events. I didn't see that coming at all. The way that they finished Steppenwolf off.
Which we haven't explained. We can whenever you want to.
Well, and I do want to say this about Superman. I hate Superman. Of all the DC comic characters, I hate him more than anybody because I feel like he's not an interesting character.
He's too OP. He's just overpowered.
Right, exactly. But I will give them credit for that in this. After they revive him in the ship, using the mother box and the other stuff.
I can't remember the pull.
You know, they've got it. Yeah, it's
where they created Doomsday and Batman v Superman. It's how it basically brings things to life.
Yeah, but they bring Superman back, and he's basically doesn't remember who any of them are.
Parademons.
Parademons. They mentioned that in the movie. Yeah, they did mention that in the movie.
Sorry, I had to look that up, guys.
But I think I have a hard time with Superman because he's so unrelatable. Mm-hmm. But after they calmed him down and they brought Lois Lane
and they brought the big gun out.
Yeah.
And I wondered, when they said big gun, I was like, it's either Lois Lane or his mother. I knew it had to be one of
them. For some reason, that didn't even occur to me.
You were thinking like Kryptonite.
I was thinking Kryptonite.
I was thinking Kryptonite too.
I think and Batman even said something about, making up for past mistakes. And you mentioned it earlier with the... with Batman's demeanor changing from saving people to destroying something. He was so caught up in Batman v Superman and worried about the power that Superman had. He even said, to Alfred, because Alfred was saying he's not a risk. He's not doing anything. And Batman said, even if there's the smallest chance, we have to be able to contain him. And I think after Superman basically sacrificed himself in the first one, and Batman even mentioned in this one, he's more human than I am.
I was about to say
he was part of this world.
That was actually
he even told Superman. That was your world needs you. It's giving me chills now.
Like that's what I was going to say. Like I don't like Superman because he's so unrelatable, but I think he was the most humanized character, especially in those scenes back at the farm with Lois. It's like, okay, they're bringing this back around, and it's redeeming Superman for me to a degree. Because I don't like that character. He's unrelatable, but he feels very human right now.
And that's me. I typically like Iron Man more than a lot of the Marvel characters. I like Batman more than... Batman's my favorite of all time. I prefer humans. I mean, the superheroes are fine. Gods are fine or whatever. But I still prefer incredible human beings. The sacrifices Batman has made... that's what I prefer because it is relatable.
Well, if you look at the Christopher Nolan series, that was the thing that he plugged into. It was the first cinematic experience that we had of a superhero that was just doing things that a normal human could do. He had access to the weapons and the technology, but he wasn't doing anything inhuman at the time.
Green Arrow, I really like the Green Arrow.
Yep.
And obviously, these aren't your everyday... they're billionaires, but they're still not your average everyday billionaires. These are people that have put themselves... Batman went off the grid for however long, and to discover... he said the first time he stole, he didn't do it out of...
malicious intent.
Yeah, he did it out of... He was starving, and which he wasn't technically stealing, I guess. Well, he stole food, I guess, in Batman Begins, but... I like the human characters better. That's one reason I like. And Superman's just so there's a rock, that can take him down, and that's it. Whereas with humans are much more vulnerable. Emotions tie into it more. Superman's always kind of been, void of emotion, and
right until the Injustice line where he's just angry all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're talking about when Lois Lane is.
That and well in for the Injustice games. In those games in the storyline, Batman has already captured Superman, put him in a cell, a sun cell or whatever it is he puts him in, and so he's literally just holding him hostage.
Well, in one of the comic lines, and they even gave some. Batman had some the dreams, the premonitions. The Flash. Yeah. It was like the Flash saying, he's coming. He was. It was almost. And I'm assuming in the Flash standalone movie, they're going to have it where it shows him go in time and tell Batman this is what's going to happen because of Flashpoint and all of the different Flash timelines.
Flashpoint, by the way, the animated was on Netflix for a while. I don't know if it's still up or not, but if that's something you're interested in, check it out.
And I think the TV show has done the Flashpoint stuff.
Yeah, they're too. Season 3.
I think it was
2 or 3. They're actually in Flashpoint. They've discovered there's multiple Earths. There's Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth whatever. Right. But back to the point, Batman has the dreams of where Superman has just gone off the grid. Well, if I'm not mistaken, in that storyline, Lois Lane is killed. And that's what sets him off, because that's kind of his connection to the human world.
Yeah.
His dad's already dead, and I feel like in this storyline his mom passes. So Lois Lane is his only connection to humankind, and once she's killed, he rages out.
I got a question for you. If you had to somehow explain this film to somebody who didn't know much about it going into it, based on other films, how would you describe it? What other films would you say this is like?
It's DC Avengers.
Okay.
With less
Not
humor.
a bad take.
Yeah.
And no Power
I have
Stones.
to do a fact check here
Right.
before I say something, so you guys keep going.
So I kind of made a little compilation of things that I thought that this film had that resembled other films put together. And lucky for me, the films that I thought it resembled are all films that I quite enjoy. So you had the opening, the kind of opening montage that had the music playing along with it while it was getting up and going. That was very Zack Snyder-esque. That reminded me of Watchmen. Very, very Zack Snyder-esque, and you could tell that was something that he does, and he does well. If you remember from Watchmen, he does that whole opening is with what was the Bob Dylan song? I can't remember it off the top of my head, but
Talking about the opening to Justice League.
the opening to Watchmen. Now, Justice League, he does the same thing.
Yeah,
but with another song that I hadn't even heard before, but it was a beautiful song by a woman, and I thought it opened really well, reminded me of Watchmen. I thought that the Amazonian scene, the first Amazonian scene where Steppenwolf actually comes into the picture, reminded me, once the battle started, it reminded me of Immortals. Obviously, you had the women that were shredded.
Yeah,
The battle scenes were great.
Okay.
There was something about the feeding off fear that was like slightly reminiscent of most recently It, slightly feeding off the fear. There was, let's see, what else did I get down here? You guys can agree or disagree, but I thought that there was something very Lord of the Rings-esque about Steppenwolf, kind of like Eye of Sauron type, destruction, total destruction, but also like, there's one point where Wonder Woman says that the reason that he didn't completely destroy Earth on his first attempt was because he took too much time trying to actually make them kneel before he destroyed.
He said he wanted to basically
kneel before.
Yeah, so he had like the power got to him.
Well, she even said, Wonder Woman, you overestimate yourself.
Yeah.
She even told him, and a lot of the villains do that. Pride is a weakness.
Right.
But the thing I looked up, Joe, when you said it's DC's Avengers, it's actually the other way around. And I wanted to make sure Justice League was first. Justice League was 1960. It's first edition in comics, first appearance. Avengers was 1963.
There's
a lot of characters that they're copies of each other, and some was Marvel first, some DC, and I wanted to double check before I said it, but DC Justice League was first.
Yeah, that's 100% correct.
I'm just saying, from a cinematic point of view, Avengers.
Yeah, I know. Avengers is Marvel's Justice League.
Right.
So we mentioned a couple of the films that this may be like, and I said Watchmen. Zack Snyder obviously directed it, and I'm a big fan of the Watchmen, the way that it was shot. I thought it was really well done with the heroes and villains, and it was a much more cerebral take on it than just a normal superhero movie.
And that's one I've never read the graphic novel. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you guys picked up on this or not, but did you recognize Barry Allen's father in this movie?
Yeah.
He looks really familiar. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Jim, the crazy last name.
So his name is Billy. His name's Billy Crudup, but he's the one who played. He's the one who played Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, that
was Dr. Watchmen. That's who that was.
Manhattan.
So yeah, you get some of this crossover, and obviously, directors tend to cast people that they've worked with before, especially if they've worked well. But I thought that was a good ode, especially since we've already discussed that there was something that happened in the filming of it where Zach had to step away for a little while. And I actually think that it was finished by another director that had his kind of vision in mind. So that's in there. I really appreciated that because I'm a big fan of The Watchmen. I've actually got it on DVD and watched it maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I thought that was a nice ode to him.
I watched
having to step aside. So that was an interesting
and I hope
place to put that.
I hope they have him in the Flash movie, and I hope because I'm not sure which storyline. In one of the storylines, Henry Allen, he was the original. Well, not the original Flash, but he was a Flash.
He was a Flash,
and so I'm kind of hoping. And I like the guy that played Billy, whatever. I like him. I hope they do bring him into the Flash movie, and I hope they even show I was the Flash,
right?
The old school Flash with the World War II helmet with the lightning.
Well, I was saying, and they talk about how something happened to
Flash's mom.
Mm-hmm. His dad was the one that was convicted, but they never really.
Well, they said he was too young for them to.
I don't know the backstory.
Okay, the backstory short. Reverse Flash. His name starts with
Ari Balin.
I like what you did, play on words, but no, that's not it. That is incorrect.
Anyways, the Reverse Flash, he goes back in time and is there to kill
Barry
Allen. If I'm not mistaken, he goes back in time to kill Barry Allen. Or does he?
No, he goes back in time to kill his mother to put the series of events off that turns him into Flash.
Right, that's right, because he needs the Flash. He goes back in time originally to kill the Flash. He can't, because when he goes back in time, the Speed Force is what they used. And he's actually got a suit that he made that uses Speed Force. He goes back in time.
He calls it Speed Force in the movie when he's getting into.
He goes back in time, the Reverse Flash, to kill Barry Allen before he becomes a Flash. But when he gets there, he discovers that he doesn't have the power to get back to his own Earth. So what happens is he decides, I've got to do it. I've got to go with the timeline. It's already been done. I've got to kill his mother to create the Flash, and then I have to steal the Flash's speed to get back to my own world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you've been watching the WB series that they've had out, that's all been in there. It's also obviously in the comics and any of the animated stuff. Flashpoint, like I said, was a big one that was on Netflix for a while. You could have checked out. I don't know if it's still on there or not. What kind of other things do we have in this film that we want to get out in the spoiler edition here?
So the place where they housed the Mother Cube in Paradise Island.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that they had all these layers, right? And they made a big deal about getting out the women, knocking out the supports and stuff so the stuff closes down. And then Steppenwolf was just swing, swing, boom, blows the doors off the walls and comes straight out.
And it had guards on it 100% of the time. I mean, they
you walk in and they
same
were
way
bows
with the
drawn.
Atlanteans. I mean, they were there. They had somebody eyes on it all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, the bow drawn 24/7 on that cube. But one thing that really frustrated me, and it just because the Hulk movie set me off on it, the original Hulk movie that came out with before Edward Norton.
Oh,
before
with,
Edward Norton.
Eric Bana.
Yeah.
Which wasn't very good.
The ability to leap for hundreds of miles or whatever.
Yeah,
Steppenwolf does that one jump and crashes down on I can't remember what her name is, but and
Ministera. It's
her mom.
The mom.
Yeah, and then or one of the other Amazons, and then she ties a ribbon or whatever up to it. And
that was one thing I want to talk about. The way they were trying to move the mother box to keep it away from him was great. I thought that was a good. They got she ties
really good action.
She ties the rope around it with the arrow. She slides and they shoot it and they just kind of keep it going. Which of course it all is in vain, anyways. But
he's able to leap hundreds.
Well, but that's the thing about Steppenwolf.
So are the Amazonians.
Well, yeah. But that was the thing about Steppenwolf that a lot of people are docking this movie for. Not only because he's purely CGI, but also because they didn't think that he matched up to what the Justice League was able to bring, especially with Superman coming back into. There's your big spoiler, but he was the world destroyer. I mean, him on Earth is. I think he matched up well, and I think what he was able to do to everyone except for the Justice League proves the kind of power that he has.
He's the world destroyer because of the tools he has. It's the same way with Thanos. Thanos without the gauntlet he's not that big of it, which I think Thanos, they've made him out. He just sits in the chair and floats around in space. Ooh, scary.
Yeah.
But when he has the gauntlet with the Infinity Stones, he's he can do anything.
Yeah.
There's actually even a comic I think where he kills just about everybody.
Yeah.
Because he's got the gauntlet.
Yeah.
So Steppenwolf on his own, he's not a world destroyer. But when they have
that axe and the army with him,
and the mother box is unified, the unity is created. He can. I like Steppenwolf. I like the CGI.
Yeah, I
thought
didn't
the CGI
dislike him.
looked good on him.
I thought it did too.
How can you can't do a because he's
there was no
he's from a different world.
There was no
He's a
actual
different
human
race.
element.
I can't even remember what the actual what his actual race is considered.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it.
I did too. Going back to what you were talking about, where they were actually protecting the mother box inside of that area, and we were talking about other films earlier, and I mentioned Immortals. That was another thing that reminded me of Immortals when they actually had to lock the Titans in the mountain.
I've not seen.
Okay,
Immortals.
well, in Immortals, the kind of like mythology behind it was that the Titans were going to escape, and in order to house them, they locked them in a mountain. It was kind of in that same sequence of events.
Oh, they just have him listed as a new god. Is a species, a new god.
Yeah,
But he's from Apocalypse, but it's
Okay.
Apokolips.
yeah, and he was Darkseid's.
It's Darkseid's planet.
He's Darkseid's.
Yeah, he's Darkseid's
henchman or whatever you want to call it, kind of right hand
He's
guy.
in Darkseid's elite, which is like his main, main people.
Let's look here and see what else we've got in here.
Oh, Aquaman is often made fun of for being kind of a lame character. Not like I disliked him as growing up. There's even a Family Guy episode where they're making fun of Aquaman. There's a criminal, he's like robbing this woman on the beach, and she's screaming for help, and he sticks his head up out of the water and says, Hey, no, stop it. Stop it. And then he throws a starfish up there. He's like, oh, you're not going to like what I just did. And he says something about, I've got a school of fish on the way. They're going to take care of you, buddy.
Yeah.
And that's how Aquaman has been portrayed. And I thought in this one they really showed the physicality.
Yeah.
His ability to, the swimming, it's like jet propulsion. I thought that was really, because I was hoping they wouldn't show him like just swimming, and being ridiculously fast. I like how because he's got the power to control the water. When the water's rushing in under the tunnel, he holds it back long enough for all them to get out. I thought Aquaman was good.
Let's go back to Flash for a second, because I've got a question for you guys. Obviously, we approved of Ezra Miller as Flash. Some of us didn't really care for the humor as much because it felt maybe too hard pressed. But what did you think of the sequences that tried to capture his speed running? There is two scenes at the end of
He looks super goofy.
It's goofy, right? There was something about
when
the way
he's running?
the way that he ran.
His feet were like pigeon toes.
Well, but in his arms, he did this like flailing thing.
His legs just looked like rubber.
I didn't care much for that. I actually forgot about it, but in the movie I was like, yeah. And looking at the Flash series, they do a really good job.
Right.
But the only thing I don't like about the Flash series is, compared to this, I like having the lightning, because he's moving so fast. In the Flash series, they didn't do that at the beginning. Yeah. He eventually got the ability to throw, he'd run in circles.
Yeah, to shoot his lightning. Yeah.
So and in this one he even talks about like I've never done battle. He's still at this point just kind of getting going. He's not really a fighter. He's I push people and I get out of town.
Yeah. Well, when he comes back in at the very end and meets his dad back in the prison, and he's got a job.
He's just now getting the job. It's a big thing.
It's a big deal. So you can tell, like you said.
He's only like 18 to 20 in the film.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming because the character Barry Allen went to school for criminology because he wanted to prove that his father didn't kill his mother. So I'm assuming he's out of college at this point. So he's probably 21 or 22, I would guess.
Probably.
But he's still young. He's not been fighting crime very long. They even made it out like he hadn't had his abilities very long in this, is what I got the feel from it.
Yeah.
Because Batman didn't even know his abilities. He said, I know you do something, but I don't know. And then he threw the batarang. Oh, so you're fast.
Well, and that was another interesting thing that they did in this was they kind of segmented him a little bit, because if you remember when they're actually digging up Superman's body, you've got Cyborg and Flash there, and they're kind of like bonding moment. is when they're discussing the fact that they were accidents, that they came about through, Flash got hit by lightning, and Cyborg came about through an accident in Star Labs, and then you've also got the ones who are, Batman, first of all, is completely human and has his abilities because he's got money, and then everyone else has abilities that they were born into for some reason, whether they're alien, Superman, or Wonder Woman.
She's a demigod, basically.
It's exactly right.
She's a demigod.
So you've got those separations that are in there. I thought that was an interesting way to go with it. There is a sequence that's kind of a flashback in time of the first time Steppenwolf shows up, where we get to look at some characters that were in there that I would be anxious to see in another Justice League film. One of them in particular was Green Lantern. We know Green Lantern from all of the comics and animated stuff that he was kind of.
Did they actually show Hal Jordan Green Lantern? Because I saw they showed
the Green Lantern Corps.
They did. Yeah,
they showed one of the other.
Right.
He died in the ring. Took off.
Yes. Yeah. It wasn't the Hal Jordan version.
So there was a Green Lantern there. With
it just showed that was
swinging a big mallet.
Yeah, the mallet when that was good.
That's in the universe though,
and they could have done a good Green Lantern.
Well, and it's a shame because we got the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, and then he spins off and kills Deadpool.
The CGI suit was what ruined the enemy in Green Lantern. Look, we're not here to talk about Green Lantern, but
he was a pretty integral part of the Justice League and a lot of.
Did you see the Giants? Like they show the people. I mean, these people were a chest and head taller than everybody.
Yeah,
and I mean, Amazonians aren't small. Or they're not supposed to be portrayed as small.
Right.
And so I'm not sure who that was supposed to be. Like, there were some large people in that group.
Yeah.
There was a guy like zapping lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which we kind of discussed, and we're not sure, but...
Because they mentioned gods. They mentioned gods taking part in the battle, too. So I'm not sure if it's Zeus.
Is it Zeus? Yeah.
And there may be a character that I'm not familiar with in the DC universe that has that ability, but I'm not sure right off.
It was interesting to find out that out of all of the worlds that Steppenwolf had went to with the mother boxes and destroyed. Also, by the way, the mother boxes had another interesting thing. We talked about kind of their relationship to the Trinity being the 3 in 1, and they're not only used for the destruction of worlds, but it was Ray actually goes into it at one point, or Cyborg goes into it at one point where he talks about it's simultaneously destroying and creating at the same time, which
they showed at the end with and I liked after while the things join together, you've got all these whatever that is. It's almost like roots and
tentacles or something that's coming out.
And then at the end, it shows all these like just exotic looking, bizarre plants and flowers and vegetation being grown.
From it.
So I'm curious. It originally said, that's the whole purpose behind the Unity was that it was to recreate
his
Steppenwolf's home world. Well, it's a wave of darkness flooding out, but after he's dead, you see all these flowers and stuff rise, which makes me wonder, like, okay, is he actually from a beautiful planet? Like, because you got the destruction that has to take place, and then the creation comes after it.
Yeah. See, I don't know a lot about his backstory.
But it makes Apocalypse those flowers that could only come from a foreign world.
They kind of remind me of like the dinosaur era. That whole they look like a lot of ferny type flowers.
Yeah.
Bizarre colors, obviously.
Right.
But that was something I was going to mention. We talked about the setting, and now it's a spoiler edition. They explained. They even said, they're going to be somewhere where there's no internet, where there's no way to track them.
That'd be completely off.
And they explained that was, they when they mentioned it, Batman was like, they had a nuclear plant accident there, and there's been a few people try to resettle there.
Yeah.
But those people, they don't have internet. I'm sure they don't have cell phones. There's nothing there. And so I was fine with it being that way. If they just picked Russia because it's Russia, like a lot of these other movies do, I was kind of the same way with you. I was like, oh, here we go. It's Russia. Surprise, surprise.
I was just like, it's Chernobyl.
Yeah. But
I think it was. I think that was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, they named it something else.
Yeah.
But,
and the only like inclination of where it is really is the family that's inside the building that it kind of follows throughout the film here and there, where they've boarded themselves in and then they have to escape. And I think a lot of that was kind of to play up the characters. Flash was used in this not so much as like an action against. It was more like a support he was getting out to save people. Batman tells him, save one. And he
And
goes,
says,
he said,
"Well,
then you'll know what to do.
He said, then what? He said, you'll know what to do. And I thought, well, once he saves somebody, he's going to get that feeling of,
yeah, this is what I'm here to do.
I am an accident, but this is what I was made to do.
It's exactly right. Yeah, he found his purpose in that moment.
And talking about some of the Flash's humor, there's been they've talked about in a lot of Batman films how when he's meeting with Commissioner Gordon, and I like J.K. Rowling as Commissioner Gordon. I like the
was it J.K. Rowling?
Yeah, that's who it was, wasn't it?
Hold on, just a sec. We gotta check this.
No, J.K. Rowling's who's playing.
Hold on just a sec, guys. We're doing a fact check really quick.
I can't.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons.
I was about to say J.K. Rowling's an author.
I'd had the first initials right.
Yeah.
I like him, and I liked him as Gordon. And I like Gary Oldman. Is that who played Gordon?
Gary Oldman, yeah.
I like Gary Oldman as Gordon.
Gary Oldman did a great.
And I think he's going to, he'll in the Batman standalone, he'll be in it more, and I liked him. But they often allude to the fact how, Batman's there and gone before you realize it. And the scene where he turns around, he's still talking, and Flash is like, "Oh man, that's rude," and he just takes off. That little humor part I liked. I liked how they had, when they got to the Batcave, even the bat symbol. He was like, "Oh my God, that's you, man. We gotta go."
Yeah.
It's showing his adolescence and how
I was gonna say,
even
he's
though
a
bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Even though he has these remarkable abilities that is far superior to Batman, he's still just like. He's just enamored, He asked if we can keep the Batarang.
Yeah, well, and that was another interesting thing is something they did here that I actually haven't seen done before was the competition between him and Superman for speed. Mm-hmm. In everything else I've ever seen, Flash is the speedster. Now, it's always been known that Superman is as fast as a speeding bullet and all this, kind of lore behind him. But it was interesting to see them kind of like
there's some of the comics
levels.
That they take jabs at each other. They take, and there's even one of the comic lines where Superman is fast enough where he flies around the Earth so fast that he causes it to spin backwards and go back in time. So which I know what you're saying. Like they didn't have. I'm not familiar with any comics or cartoons where they had a straight out competition, but I know there is some where they take jabs at each other.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this, and I'm glad they had the race, and they even which coast is they're going to run across the country in a matter of seconds.
So this will be my last point on the spoiler edition here, but I'll tell you one thing that I really appreciated about this film that you got in BVS. You got the kind of classic Bruce Wayne detective that defeats Superman as he does in the comics, as he does in the animated stuff. And at the end of it, Superman dies. Well, when Superman comes back here, you get a very small glimpse of Superman doing what he could have done to Batman at any moment. I mean, until Lois Lane shows up, he's almost exacting his revenge in a brief moment.
Well, he even
there.
says, "Tell me, do you bleed?" Which is line.
It's very So I really appreciated that because you get both sides of the coin. You want BVS, you get your Batman, your ultimate Batman, and this one you get kind of the aging Batman that's looking back on his life and realizing there were some mistakes that he made. Mm-hmm. There were some things that he wanted to kind of correct and go out the proper way. And Superman almost takes that from him when he comes back until his humanity's restored. So,
there was another thing I want to talk about was the post-credit scene, the first one especially. I think it was the first one. Second one was the Flash and Superman, right?
Yeah.
The last one. Yeah, the first one. At first, I was assuming it was going to be the League of Doom, but then when they bring in Deathstroke, who is one of my favorite villains,
it's a Batman villain.
Batman and
Green Arrow.
Oh, okay.
Which from the television series you would get that.
Yeah. But when they brought him in, the only thing is in the Injustice League. It's the only thing I can find where Lex Luthor and Deathstroke work together.
Yeah.
So, and I wish they would do Legion of Doom, but I can see the Injustice League as well. I mean, it's a big group. Because with the League of Doom, Solomon Grundy, some of those characters would be heavy CGI if they actually brought them in. Sinestro would have to be heavy CGI, and he may even be in the Injustice League. I'm not sure, but that actually had me pretty excited for the next one. Because I just assumed they were going to go straight into Darkseid, and Darkseid might be in the second one. I'm not sure, but the Lex Luthor and Justice League looks like it's what it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely stay for watch all the credits and then watch the final scene there.
Yeah, it's worth it. I can't remember what they call it. There's a post-credit scene, a post-credit scene. So
yeah,
you want to stay for the whole thing.
Closing remarks?
I liked it. It's I think it's better than a lot of people are going to give it credit for. But I like the DC stuff. People gave me a hard time because I enjoyed
Batman vs Superman.
I did like Batman vs Superman.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
I like Suicide Squad. I thought the story was kind of jumbled and rushed.
Well,
yeah,
they had.
That's another one where you're assembling a whole team of people, though.
Right. But I like Suicide Squad. I thought that it got a lot of bad rap when it shouldn't have.
Cool.
Yeah.
Closing remarks.
I really enjoyed it. I'll definitely be purchasing it. I only have a couple negatives. Don't like Lois Lane. I'm not a big fan of Amy Adams in general, but I didn't like Lois Lane in any of the Superman standalone, Man of Steel, Batman, Superman. I just don't care for her. And I didn't like Alfred in this one. And I felt like the story was a little rushed in here, but it's because of so many characters.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that once they release it for home purchase, that they add that extra half hour to an hour.
I'm sure they will with the director's cut, extended edition.
I think they probably will.
Because Batman v Superman added like 30 or 45 minutes with this extended edition.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. That was our spoiler edition. Stay tuned for more reviews. We're probably going to be coming at you more in the next couple of weeks. Also, go check out the website, which is
righteousfurymedia.com.
And follow us on Twitter at
Right Fury Media.
And go ahead and like and subscribe us on YouTube. And stay tuned for more. You guys have a good evening.
See you.